making fly also.
Charlotte Soccer Show. Welcome to HopFly Brewing Company. It is the Charlotte FC pregame show. Danny Brams, and cheers to you, my friend. Great to see you.
Cheers to you, match week 3. Cheers to the Tifos. Cheers to everybody, the millions watching online and around the world. We thank you for being here. Charlotte FC is back for week 3, still undefeated. Run it back. We have yet to lose. Let's go.
Incredibly excited about tonight is this match. So welcome to Charlotte Soccer Show. John Hayes, Danny Brams. We're here at HopFly. But we're here to hopefully get 3 points. Now I'm going to set the stage for you, Danny Brams, today.
Set it. Please set the stage.
I think this is
I'm going to sit over here and drink while you set the stage.
We talked about the home opening match being a cup final, a match that needed 3 points.
Right.
I'm asking myself right now, Danny Brams, do I feel that way this afternoon against Toronto FC?
It's like there's no relief, right? There's never any relief. We won our first 2 games. We're happy, but it's still kind of like needles and pins. It's like, well, what's going to go wrong now? Is the other shoe going to drop? Is the bottom going to fall out? Like, we got to worry a little bit still about, are we as good as we think we are?
Right.
Because everybody now thinks we're good. Everybody's like, okay, Dino has changed the team for sure.
Well, it's not even about thinking. It's about knowing.
Well, yeah, but like, I mean, but then you have to test it. You have
Yes,
to test it every week. That's the thing. Like, we know after 2 weeks of a win and a draw that we're a much better team than we were last year to start the season.
Right.
But we go up and look bad tonight against 2 of the better DP attackers in the league. Let's say we go up and lose 2-0.
Yes.
We're not going to feel as good. So what I'm talking about is it's just as important to keep it going. You got to keep it going. We haven't really built our buffer. We have not built our comfort zone necessarily yet, but we're building it. We're building it for sure. We're building a little nest that we can sort of feel comfortable and less nervous all the time. But today I still feel pretty nervous.
One thing I'm really excited about and happy about is that we waited this week to start before the match until about a half an hour. We went like an hour and a half live before the match last week. And this week I can tell we've got more viewers here live on the show, which is awesome. And one of my best friends, Will Bryan, just walked in the house as well.
What up, Will?
Matt Geslin here hanging out at
Geslin,
HopFly. We've got the Rev. We've got the Rev here behind us as well. Shout out to one of the
What
Tifos.
up, Rev? What up, guys?
The Rev, for what it's worth, is in the driver's seat, no pun intended, for Tifos of the Year.
I think the pun was intended, personally.
Yeah, we got Justin. Justin's going to join us here on the show in just a few minutes.
Alumni of the Crown Cast. You may
right.
remember Justin Kurtz, great voice of Charlotte soccer. And we love being able to bring people that we don't always have opportunity to schedule. Like, we can't get together during the week to bring some of the local guests on the show, but hey, we bring them on. Everybody's here for the match, so we bring them on Lineup Live. So talking about the lineup, it's the same. What do you think about running it back? How do you feel about the running back?
I think it was the easiest decision of all time for Dean Smith to just run out the 11. If you're going to consider changing somebody, you're going to change with Liel Abada and Jabril Diani, and it just so happens that both of those players are unavailable today. Therefore, the lineup is going to remain the same.
Non-injury related.
There's no doubt about that. But one thing I want to do is I want to call out the folks who are watching live right now. Appreciate y'all being here.
There's a lot of y'all.
Whether you're here in Charlotte watching at your house, that's great, but you need to come down here to HopFly to hang out for the match, because it's going to get lit here in the afternoon in the next couple hours. And I'm just going to throw it out right now, Danny. I've got a two prediction on our preview show for the match.
Yep.
So I think there's going to be a lot of goals today in today's match.
You're on the record as 2-2. I think 2-1. I think the organization on our defense will hold through. A clean sheet is tough on the road, but I think we can hold them to 1. Shout out to Chief Kiefer, who brings up what I basically we have to do.
Wait. Where is Chief Kiefer's in the chat? Where is he? I thought he was supposed to be here at HopFly.
I mean, Kiefer, where are you at? He's probably at home watching Arsenal give up silly goals right before halftime. Probably wanted to stay
he's
in
definitely
for that.
doing that. Yes,
for sure. We got people watching from work. Shout out Christian Stiveson. Hey, if you got to work on a Saturday, at least you can pop up. Give us a tab. Just give us a tab on the browser. You can even watch on mute. All we need are the stats. But Dino will get us this win. First win north of the border. The comments are coming fast and furious. I think we get the win. I think it's a 2-1 win.
2-1 win. You predicted that on our preview show, and I think that's a great call. I think Charlotte FC is going to score 2 goals today, and it's something that Charlotte FC should have done last week in Vancouver. It's the second week in a row this club is heading up to Canada, and when you think about Dean Smith, and we've had the chance to talk to Dean Smith this week, and we went to his press conference.
Great. Love Dean Smith.
And there's a couple of questions that were asked about this. I asked specifically about Enzo Capetti. I'll just say that. Enzo Capetti hasn't scored a goal yet, had a big chance against Vancouver.
This press conference, by the way, Dino's weekly presser, by the way, could have gone on for like 2 hours.
Yes.
Like at the end, they were just like, anyone got any more questions? John was like, I've got one. I've got another one. I've got another one. Like, if Dino hadn't had to get up and leave, John and Dino would still be sitting over there at HPP talking. But yeah, you got a lot of insight, and I agree. Like, Enzo is the man. We need to see the goal tonight, right?
Yes. Today is, if Enzo Capetti doesn't score a goal in this match today, then there's going to be people starting to question whether Patrick Agyemang should start next week at Nashville.
Right, because Patty's looking healthy. We saw Patty looked really fast in drills this week. I mean, he always looks fast, but like he'd been kind of limited in drills 2 weeks ago. Now he's starting to like go full speed. So I think Patrick's ready to play 90 or play 75 for sure. I'm keeping the faith with Enzo. I'm Billy Joel all day long. I'm keeping the faith, but I do want to see the goals. We need to see if the goals don't come tonight, people will start to ask questions. Because I mean, they were wild. They were hot.
For what it's worth, I'm already asking questions, and I did. I did 2 days ago.
Now. Yeah, this guy he literally just asked the question. But for me, Enzo's my guy. It's tough for me to bench Enzo. What I do think when Patrick's going to get his starts is what we have not seen from Dean yet is he's got more formations in the back. Dino he's not just like locked into this 4-3-3. Like, there's going to be a time, Dino's already said it, where he's going to switch from the double pivot plus a 10. He'll do the 6 and 2/8. And so that's going to be the chance for some other guys to get to the lineup. There's going to be a chance at some time when they need to do 2 strikers.
It's time for Danny Brams to call his shot, right? Because he's got Charlotte FC winning 2-1. So why don't you hit me with their goal scorers today? Do you think Enzo gets one of those 2 goals?
Enzo goal, Deagra goal. Enzo and Deagra goals. I think they're the ones that do it. We're going to push through the middle. Toronto's got a new attitude. Toronto's new coach has made a big difference, obviously.
Right.
Started last season, but, sort of fixed what was going wrong there, even despite.
And I asked Dean Smith if he had a relationship with John Herdman, the Toronto manager, who you might know him. He coached the Canadian national team. He brought Canada to the World Cup. And
these managers all know each other, right?
And Canada flamed out, by the way, in that World Cup. They went in with high expectations, and they didn't get out of the group stage. And they didn't even play well. I'm not sure. Did they even get a point, Canada, in the World Cup?
It wasn't great.
It wasn't great. So this is John Herdman's
landing
spot. This is where John Herdman has ended up, at Toronto FC. And Danny has 2 of the best players in MLS on his roster, Bernadeschi and, of course, Insigne.
Yeah.
When you think about these 2 players, let's take a look at the back line. Let's circle a guy named Andrew Privet. Let's circle a guy named Adilson Malanda.
Right.
How are those 2 players going to keep 2 of the most experienced and lethal goal scorers in MLS at bay today?
It's tough. And to me, like the big challenge is that this is different than what we've seen so far. This is attacks. I said this on the show this week. This is attacks coming from the wing as opposed to where we've been dealing more centrally so far with the previous 2 matches this season. So I'm not really loving it. I don't know. The answer to your question is that I don't know, but I think that it's going to take focus. I think it's going to take comfort. It's going to take partnership. We spoke with Privet this week. Midweek we got a chance to talk to him, and he hyped up that comfort level. It was all about, like, the word comfortable just kept coming up over and over and again in every one of his answers to every question. And I wrote a column about that on our Charlotte Soccer City Substack. Make sure you go find that.
Let me just say this right now. I think your column this week, your story about Andrew Privet, might be my favorite thing that's been published on our Substack.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. It
really
felt good.
Really well written.
It was a fun write-up. It was a good write-up. But I mean, let's look at what I'm going to do is I'm going to call up. We all know our 11. We're become familiar with it by now. But let's look at Toronto's starting 11 real quick as we do this, and just.
There's Bernadeschi, of course, and there's Insigne, of course.
We did not get
and those are the 2 players. What about anybody else on that starting 11, Danny Brams, that you're concerned about this evening?
I think Osorio is kind of the guy that makes it happen in the middle for them. We would be doing much better if one of those 3 were out. If Osorio, Bernadeschi, and Insigne, one of those was out, we'd be in a lot better shape. Because, again, I talk about them coming from the wings. Osorio makes it happen through the middle, gets a lot of those balls. Remember how Latanzio last year always wanted that ball to the center, ball to the wing, back to the box center? That was like this team actually does that pretty decently. So you got to watch out for that for sure. Also keep an eye on number 14, Alonso Coelho. He's their defensive stopper, young player that sort of came into his own at the second half last year. Again, tough to judge a lot of Toronto's second half of the season, but one of the better, defensive mids. And I think our guys are going to have a little bit of trouble getting through him today. At least need to be on their game. And I really we needed to see a lot from Westwood, right? I mean,
well,
is that someone you want to see more from?
Okay, so Ashley Westwood is a player. Obviously, he's the captain of this club, and every single match, I think Dean Smith and Ashley Westwood are able to have a one-on-one conversation, and that conversation sounds like this. So this week, you're going to be a defensive midfielder, and this next week, you might have a chance to be an attacking midfielder. Right. In this match tonight, Ashley Westwood is in a defensive position. There is no doubt about that, and so is Junior Urso. When you're thinking about the double pivot, this lineup at sometimes for Dean Smith, it can flex, it can transition from a classic 4-3-3 into a 4-2-3-1, and the 4-2-3-1 is what you're going to see today. Right. It's going to be Ashley Westwood. It's going to be Junior Urso in that double pivot right in front of Adil Similanda and Andrew Privet. And those two players will offer some serious defensive coverage to take care of this really dangerous Toronto front line.
Are you predicting like a turtle encounter, or is it like a park the bus on the road type of situation, more so than we've seen so far this season?
I don't think it's a park the bus, but it's 6 players who are very defensive-minded in this match. Breck Diagre and obviously the 3 forwards, Yuri Tavares, Enzo Capetti, and Kerwin Vargas. Those are the 4 players that you need to circle to create on the offensive end of the field tonight.
Yeah, or hopefully find a set piece, right? Right. Yes. I mean, we might need a set piece goal to win tonight.
And I'm glad that you said that too, because that's really what it comes down to.
Right.
Is Ashley Westwood, even when he's playing in that defensive midfield position, he can get on the end of a set, or he can be on the front end of a set piece, right? He can send one into the box. He can still impact the game offensively when he's mostly focused on defense, but it has to be coming from a set piece. And you know who does a really nice job of winning fouls? Both those players that you mentioned, Breck Diagre and Enzo Capetti.
Right, exactly.
So if I'm those 2 players, if I'm Dean Smith, I've been talking to them, Danny, and been saying, hey, don't go down easy, but if you feel contact and you're in the final third.
Like you did last week when you earned that penalty, that's weird, wonky American VAR to overturn it as Dean was still not letting go at the end of last week. But I agree. What do you think? What have you seen from Enzo in terms of, we talked about this in the offseason, the Enzo Capetti rule and this idea of like they're going to penalize guys for rolling around too much. I think that's been kind of limited with the replacement refs. They're not enforcing it as strictly, but like we have seen a new Enzo for whatever the ref situation. Enzo's playing a lot less, whine and roll. Like he's getting up, he's making things happen, he's drawing the foul, and then just popping right back up, in my estimation.
He's certainly turned over a new leaf. Enzo Capetti.
Baby. It's a whole new Enzo.
And quite frankly, this whole club has turned over a new leaf.
Yeah. And Dino's at the wheel.
And when you're watching the match today, right, if Charlotte FC is playing well, I'm giving everybody the go-ahead, the green light to start dreaming. Because all of a sudden you've got a serious attacking winger in Liel Abada signing for this squad. It's Charlotte FC's best signing in club history. So that's coming down the pike. And you've got Jabril Diani, who is coming in as well to offer midfield reinforcements.
Right.
And hopefully Diani will be available next week for the Nashville match. So my point is, this starting 11, even though it's the same starting 11 that we've seen for the first 3 matches of the season, this is in no way, shape, or form what this lineup will look like in the next 3 weeks. So if this team plays well today, again, you've got the green light, Danny Brams. You better start dreaming about the playoffs. You better start dreaming about being in the Supporters Shield race. You better start dreaming about the MLS Cup.
But again, that's why this day is so important, because this day keeps the dream alive.
It does.
We're not we can't dream if we get this early setback, in my mind. So I'm still going to be optimistic. I still have like high hopes and all that, but I just need one more result today. Even a draw, I would be happy with a draw for sure. Let's bring in Justin, because you mentioned Tavares and Vargas.
Yes.
And hey, come on in, Justin.
Yeah. While you get here, Justin, you can get this side of Danny for sure.
Yeah, I'll squeeze in the middle here. I'm an oldest child. I never had to sit in the middle back in the day when my parents were driving us around, so I'll do it this time.
There's an on-off on that microphone as well for you.
What's up, man? Cheers. Welcome to you.
Thank you.
Cheers. Welcome to the show.
Justin Kurtz, everybody. You may remember him. He used to be a regular on the Crowncast. He stepped back from that, but he still follows Charlotte FC very closely.
Absolutely.
Friend of us, friend of ours, friend of yours.
Yeah.
Great guy. And what do you think about this lineup? What do you think about the future of the attackers when Abada comes in?
Well, I mean, I think Vargas is the guy in the situation right now that's got the most to prove. He's playing out of position. He hasn't necessarily played well the first couple of weeks. And he's got the legacy and the position to get the start when Abada comes in and takes the right wing, because there's no way Abada's not going to come in and get the right wing.
Right.
But Dean Smith's going to have faith. The crowd, the fans, though, if he stumbles at all the way Tavares has played the first few weeks, there's going to be so much shouting for Tavares to come back in and take that left wing spot. And he's played really well. And Vargas hasn't necessarily played great. So today, Vargas has got to step up. Today, Vargas has got to have a big game in Toronto.
It's a great take, and it shows just how thin the margins are in professional soccer, right? Because Kerwin Vargas was on the penalty spot in the opening match of the season. He had a chance to open his account. He didn't. Even Yuri Tavares, right? That header off the bar that created that first goal, that Adi Milanda goal, Tavares could have two at this point through 2 games.
Right. And he could be our only goal scorer.
Right.
You know, you put a guy on the spot like you put Vargas in against NYC, and you say score the goal to build your confidence. If you miss the PK, that's one of the most damaging things that can possibly happen.
It's a high-risk, high-reward situation. And it's almost a high-risk, low-reward situation, to be perfectly honest.
When it doesn't pay off,
let's be real, but
it's even more dangerous. And so it puts Vargas, I think, on a shorter and shorter leash, not necessarily with Dean Smith, but with the fans, with the expectation going forward. So it'll be very interesting to see, because today, now that Abada is finalized, now that we know he's coming, Vargas has got to step up and have a big one.
You got 3 weeks if you're Tavares and Vargas. You know Abada is going to be here for the Cincinnati game. He's probably not going to have the paperwork for next week. He's with the international team in 2 weeks, so 3 weeks. He's going to be here one way or the other. So
let me just underscore quickly, Danny. This is a very good problem to have.
Yeah, for sure. I'm with you.
It's the kind of problem MLS teams want to have, should have going forward. We should have players pushing each other in these positions.
Right. I mean, shout out 22, Justin Miriam. No hate towards you, but it's just a nicer option to think of. You're starting Abada and potentially bringing Tavares in off the wing. As great of an impact sub as just Justin Miriam was for us last year, it's an upgrade that we're pretty happy with this year.
I just want to call out Soyman real quick, who's in the chat, and he makes a really, really nice point.
Yeah, Soyman's a great fan of the show.
Kerwin Vargas did create that chance for Yuri Tavares in that first match with a really whipped-in corner as well, and he did in the second, and when that PK happened as well. So it was in that first match. It was 2 chances created by Kerwin Vargas.
Is Soyman? Is that Dean Smith's burner account? Soyman? Are you Dean Smith on a burner? Because that's exactly what Dino keeps saying.
Yeah, it is.
Is good players create those chances, right?
And Vargas has a great opportunity here against Toronto. He's got a great opportunity next week. Nashville's going to have to play a midweek.
Because we love that.
They're stuck in the competition. They're going to have to go down to Miami and play. So
and they need
we're going to have tired competition.
Oh, my goodness.
In the Music City next week. So we've got a great opportunity for a guy like Vargas to stake his claim. He's got to take the opportunity, though.
Yeah, it's tonight. It's next week for sure. Yeah. But I want to see it tonight. But why wait? I'd love to see Vargas open his account tonight. Let's just say I already predicted Diagra and Enzo for the goals. But I wouldn't mind being wrong if it means Vargas opens his account.
I'm fine with Diaga and Enzo with the goals. If it's a couple of Vargas assists,
Vargas
wants to. If he wants to be the producer, I'm all for it. I'm very excited for it.
I've got a question for you, Justin, and something. It's not a forward player. It's somebody that Zoran Cronetta and Dean Smith brought into this club, who has made an immediate impact, who has been injected into the starting lineup. His two first matches with the club. It's Junior Urso. What has he shown you so far? Is the Bears somebody that you think has made a massive difference for this club? Because I do.
I love the Bear playing in the 8 right now. My issue continues to be the age, and what I'm excited for more than anything else.
Yeah, good. Keep putting a chip on his shoulder.
Yeah, but what I'm excited more than anything else is Urso being the guy to come in from the 60th minute to the 90th minute to close out matches for us.
Okay.
When Jabril Diani is in here as the starting 8-6 in that double pivot with Westwood, and Urso can be,
what about my boy Pekovic?
I would love Pekovic. I loved him at Legacy. I translated with the team. Absolutely, talked him up all last year. I think he's the real deal. I don't know if he's there yet.
So you want Diani? You think Diani should get a chance before Nico?
I think Diani gets a chance first. Okay. It'd be a great opportunity in like a U.S. Open Cup match for some of these guys to get some minutes.
Can we send him down? I don't know.
Yeah.
Can we call up the general manager of Crown Legacy and try to work a trade here to get Nico over there on a loan?
We're about 15 minutes before kickoff. I do not want to get into the U.S. Open Cup debate. We'll save that for another chance.
If you like the Cup, go to the Cup. That's my advice.
Urso, though, like early in the season, Urso is still bringing a lot of energy in the midfield. Right. He's covering back great. He's passing forward. I will say, right now, the style Dean Smith has us playing, a lot of times in attack, we're bypassing the midfield.
Yeah, for sure.
So we're not getting to see
the
a lot of what they're
was
doing.
lacking a little bit, especially in the end of last match.
You're seeing Westwood playing from deep. You're seeing some flick-ons from De Jager, but you're not necessarily seeing a ton of Urso on the ball in offense.
Right.
Defensively, I think he's been phenomenal, but that's, I think, what you expected out of Junior Urso.
Right, and we're going to need it today. Today, I'm fine focusing on the defense.
Yes.
Today, I agree with what John said earlier. I agree. It's not going to be a park the bus, but it's definitely going to be the double pivot sitting right in front of the center backs and just like making sure no one comes in that box unmarked.
I mean, Dean Smith's system right now is absorb the pressure, hit him on the break, and Urso absolutely helps with that.
And that's a formula to win on the road, and that's why he's going to employ that today for sure. So we're going to get our official predictions. Danny and I are already on the record. We're going to ask your prediction for the day. But the first thing I'm going to do is ask the Tifos to drop their predictions in the chat. We'll throw them on the screen.
Thank you to the hundreds who are watching right now. This is amazing. It's great to know that, we know that the vibe and the buzz around this club, being a winning club now, is so hype. And there's just a hunger and there's a thirst for people talking about the show. So it's great to see people all tuning in. Thank you so much. I can't thank you enough. Now drop some predictions in.
So Justin, why don't you kick us off here?
And click the like on the stream, please. I never say that.
If you subscribe, get the notifications.
If you're thinking about this match just from an unbiased point of view, right, where you're thinking about Toronto being a very good club, who, by the way, and I'm saying this on the show for the first time right now, hasn't given a goal up yet this season. Toronto hasn't given a goal up this season. It's their home opener in Toronto as well. It's going to be another tough atmosphere like it was in Vancouver last weekend. All those things considered, Justin, what's your prediction for today's match?
I'm with Joe here in the chat. This is a 2-1 Charlotte. I love the prediction of De Jager and Capetti on the score sheet. I think those are our scorers today. I think Vargas is the assist guy. I think he's the producer. I also think, unfortunately, Kalina is great for a couple of great saves a game. He's also great for, how did you not stop that? And the Italian presence, the Italian attacking technique there, it's good. They can beat Kalina. We might concede.
I'm glad that you mentioned Kalina because I have to be honest with you. Standing here last Saturday night at HopFly, I wasn't very thrilled with Christian Kalina's performance against Vancouver. He has to play better tonight, doesn't he?
Right.
100%.
I mean, like I always say, I'm fine with the goalie being a little bit crazy. I like my goalie being a little bit, have at least it doesn't have to have a screw loose, but it has to at least be, not super tight. Anyway, I just think he made some kind of dicey plays, and you expect that from a goalkeeper. Unfortunately, I think he made a really good play to position himself for a pullback cross from Raposo, but the mishit squirted in under him. I'm going to take the Dean Smith tack on that. I'd like to see Kalina just be a little less, give us just a little, I know exactly what you're talking about, John, in terms of there's a shot from 30 yards and he could easily catch it, but instead he pops it up and then goes to grab it. That's a recipe for a potential mistake. So
the word that I'm thinking of when you say all those things is nervy.
Nervy.
And this club,
we don't want nervy.
During its first 2 years in existence, has been a very nervy club in the last 20 minutes of the match. And if your keeper is playing in a way that feels nervy, that does not give your outfield players the confidence that they need to get the job done all the way to the final minute.
And we just saw, shout out to the chatters who know that I like Arsenal. Ramsdale just made one of the howlers of the year for the Gunners there before halftime, right before we came on. But what can you do?
Well, and to circle it back to the conversation about Tavares versus Vargas, Vargas doesn't track back last week on the goal. He's got to do the little things like that to prove that he deserves the spot over a guy like Yuri Tavares, because there's a lot of energy from Tavares right now, and we all know the right wings. That's claimed. Yeah. As soon as Abada's in.
It's Abada. Push it some more. So shout out. I got to shout out Bridget McCall. We love Bridget. She's a great Tifos, and she's always goalie focused. Her daughter plays goalie. And we missed this. We should have brought this up when we looked at Toronto's lineup. They're playing with a backup goalkeeper, no Sean Johnson.
Thank you, Bridget.
Luka Gavron is in there. I think he may be their goalkeeper of the future at some point. But the fact that Sean Johnson is not there, Sean Johnson, a great goalkeeper for New York City for many years, played for U.S. Men's National. Like, the fact that there's a backup in there, even if he might be better than Sean next year, he's not better than Sean today. So that's actually an advantage to the Crown.
For what it's worth, the same storm system that's here in Charlotte right now, and thank goodness we're inside today at HopFly's Brew House. And I've got to tell you, a couple hours ago, I was curious about what the turnout would be.
Right.
And let me tell you, the turnout is fantastic on a Saturday.
We got the couch. The kids on the couch are posted up, loving life.
Yes.
Yeah, it's beautiful. This is the most kid-friendly brewery. This is the family-friendly brewery. I think is what we're going to start calling HopFly.
The same system that I'm talking about is up in Toronto as well.
Yep.
And there's a chance that this game is being played in rain today.
Yeah.
And my perspective on that is that actually benefits Charlotte FC. What do you guys think?
Rain good, wind bad. We saw last year in Toronto, wind very bad for us.
Against the wind. 100%. Still running.
I absolutely believe if we're playing in the rain, if we're playing on that turf with wet conditions, that benefits us. If we've got to start trying to throw crosses in, if we've got to kick long balls against the wind, that's going to be bad for Charlotte FC. That's going to be difficult for us.
So we got 10 minutes to kick off here. I think we need to wrap this thing up. And I need another beer. I finished. I just want to say thank you to the thousands and thousands that are watching online. And it's crazy. Charlotte FC admin is actually here watching from the locker room. So I mean that's amazing. Drop some comments, please.
If you were going to give a pregame speech, Danny, to the guys, if you had the opportunity to get in there today, it doesn't have to be a rah-rah speech, but what would what hard dose of reality, what truth serum would you tell the guys about how important 3 points are today?
Here's what I would tell the guys. You've come out and you've played 30 good minutes for 2 games, and then you just struggled to hold on for an hour both times. I need to see 90 minutes. I need to see at least 60 minutes, guys. Like, you've earned a pretty good reputation for having a nice start to the season. But if we're honest with ourselves, Charlotte FC has looked bad for some long extended stretches of these first 2 games. So I'm telling these guys, do not believe your own hype. Do not believe your own press. Do not believe anybody who's telling you that you're better than you were and that you were actually good all along and it was just the manager. I don't know who's saying that. Maybe me. But if I'm in the locker room, I'm telling these guys, you sucked and you should be 0-2 and go out there and get a win.
That's a good speech. And I think it's one of those things, Danny Brams, you're exactly right.
That's what I'd say.
And Dean Smith is probably saying the exact same thing.
I hope so.
Let's sustain the pressing for 90 minutes. And if that means early subs, if that means fresh legs, let's do it. Let's get those fresh legs in. I'm going to say one more thing before we go. Thought Patrick Agyemang had a really poor game last week against Vancouver. Yeah. I thought he was rusty. I thought his touch was off.
Missed that header.
I think that he's got a chance to come off the bench tonight, make up for that, and be the impact super sub that we all think that he could be.
Yep. How about a shout out? We got a Tifos here in the chat. Ryan Barley. Come here, Ryan. Ryan, come here. Come on. This guy has been here watching us the whole time, Ryan.
Shout out, Ryan. What's your prediction for the match tonight?
I have Charlotte FC 2-1 over Toronto.
Yes.
2-1. It's the popular pick. 2-1.
I will say I do like your pregame speech that he said. Dean Smith even said that he's happy with the start, but he knows there's more fire in this team. So I'm expecting to see it today.
You heard it from Ryan. That's it. The Tifos know, people.
Yes, they do. Thanks, Ryan. Appreciate you. Yes, sir.
For the crown, Charlotte FC.
Yes.
Vamos!
It's for the crown, baby. Let's do it. It's the Charlotte Soccer Show. It's John Hayes. It's Daniel Brams. It's Justin Kurtz. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me on,
being
guys.
a special guest on the show this afternoon. And what we're going to do is we're going to come back tomorrow. There's going to be a recap show. We'll be here live at HopFly tomorrow afternound.
Special guests, maybe.
Anna Whitty will be here as well.
We've got requests in for a guest. I won't tell you who, but someone you want to hear from.
But a quick shout out to all the teams here.
A win today would help the guests.
We just got I see Joe Garcia,
who
showed up here tonight as well. Greg Franco as well.
Amazingly.
Showed up here. Is that Carol Swiderski right there?
Carol, is that Swiderski?
It's the Charlotte Soccer Show. Cheers, everybody, for joining us. We've got a chance to see kickoff here in just a few minutes. You can see behind the Apple TV. The reason why we're doing the pregame show, by the way, is because for some reason MLS Season Pass doesn't do one. So here we are today doing the pregame show.
Hey.
So until next time, as always, Danny Brams.
For the crown, baby.